Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. And now, please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks.
Let's get it on. Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact within your own. Brian, you rocked it because they're still going. They're still going.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, Brian. I mean, they just love you so much.
Stop. No,
Yeah.
Keep it coming.
All right, keep it coming. All right, we're done.
All right, well, good to see you, Brian. Thank you for that intro. We're here today. We're kicking off a new topic. We're going to be talking about go-to-market strategies from multiple perspectives. We're going to have the reoccurring theme, much like we're doing with Dahlia on partnerships and with Marianne and women in leadership. So we're going to have reoccurring guests focusing on go-to-market strategies and all their different perspectives. And we're happy to introduce today David Isaac. Good to see you, buddy.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be in California.
Yeah, all the way from Singapore.
Just 17 hours on the plane.
Yeah, a little short, little hop, right? Nice. Well, good to meet you. Glad to have you on the show. So give our audience, as we usually do here on the show, a little intro about who you are and tell us about what you love about what you do.
I'm a product guy, and I've worked a lot in management consulting. And the only thing in common between all the places I've worked at is that I've always been launching the new business, the new revenue model, the new product, the new brand. So from the idea to the building of it to the launching of it and having that responsibility, that's something I've always done, for 20 years now.
Nice. And so you have a new startup, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. You also have a long career kind of in this space as well. And you just recently, or you also just got your doctorate in your space and you focused on this.
Well, I was writing a PhD that in February last year, I'm like, enough teaching, enough book writing, making people read their own stuff and figuring it out. Let's just create the AI-enabled platform where we help you do it for you and help you iterate and help you experiment.
I love that. And so kind of to get a ramp up, because we're going to get into this perspective on product market fit and go to market, give our audience a little run up about what got you into this space, what has been your corporate and personal background, and then what got you back into school to get that doctorate, and then that aha moment of like, I'm going to take this to market, and then we'll dive right into your startup.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So
that was a lot to chew up.
That's okay. It's just a whole life in 40 seconds, In school, I thought I wanted to be the head of BMW marketing USA. I graduated, I ended up in doing segmentation. That's like before you build a brand and you're trying to figure out which customer niche is going to be the one you build a product for. So you identify the customer before. That was an amazing target for me to keep throughout my career. And then even though I ended up in a couple of startups, doing product, doing strategy, being GM 2 times, I had a small exit, grew a company 500%. But the real aha moment was when tech and product, and after that exit in 2014, just focusing on product and startups and innovation, mentored at probably 30 accelerators like Techstars and Founders Institute Australia and Daimler Startup Autobahn. There's so much to do in that interaction between product and marketing that just became my mission.
And so you had an exit in 2014. Tell us a little bit about what was that journey like? Was this your company or a team you were part of?
It was nuts. It was I was in a 2-story building, and there was a restaurant group that I used to go at because I would sneak in and get lunch at 11 or 11:30 because at 12 o'clock there are just no more seats in the Singapore city. And I guess I developed a relationship with the family that owned the business, and it was a restaurant group. And they kept saying, "Oh, you should really help us with our business." And I'm like, I'm a consultant. I do segmentation. I don't know the food industry. I don't even know physical retail. And one thing led to another, and I ended up having a 20% stake in the business, and we grew 450% over 5 years. It took an extra 2 years to liquidate the asset, but product line extension, service design, all of that, I was like figuring out on my own. And there weren't the playbooks to apply real innovation to like a physical business.
So you have this experience of diving into something you were unfamiliar with, figuring it out, and then a pretty good track record of getting growth out of that.
That could be the title of the byline of a book of my life, right? Like just, hey, this is the problem, figure it out. That's my life. Yeah.
Figure it out. I was actually thinking of creating a hat that says "Figure it out." I love that. So you and I aligned with that. So let's jump ahead. You know, me, Brian knows me best. I've got ADD and I can't focus. I'm super excited about your startup, right? So we got a little bit of background on where you've come from. We're going to talk about your doctorate thesis. We'll talk a little about that. But for our audience, give us a little pitch about your startup, which you've just launched, and I'm super excited about it because I first heard about it at the Path Ahead with Bill Berry and his team of Ignite, personal friend, and I'm super impressed. So
thank you.
We'll start there. Share with our audience what you're creating, and then we'll boom out from there and how this can really help companies go to market and that due diligence process.
Well, the problem we're trying to solve is that less than 10% of the startups that I've worked on at least 186 projects, from a global project at Samsung Product Innovation Team to leading innovation for EY-Parthenon across 6 countries and running 186 projects. Less than 5% of companies, even well-funded ones, have the budget and the time to really do customer journey mapping and really do experimentation. And both of those are such difficult things to pull off at a high degree of expertise. So what we're trying to do is not only connect product strategy to that customer journey mapping and to that experimentation, we're turning it into a closed loop. So we're continuously helping you refine, just like a top 1%, a top 10% PM in the Bay. We're trying to enable every startup to do that regardless of the budget you have. That's AIPath. That's the name of the startup, AIPath.one.
Okay, so you're the CEO of AIPath.one. You just launched it this year.
We started building in January. We launched in June. We've just broken 400 monthly users this week, and we're only halfway through the month. We are at 1,000 overall, so we're quite excited about the trajectory of just helping startups get to product market fit with experimentation and research.
So I'm hearing really quickly, not only we're going to be talking again about go-to-market, but you got traction pretty quickly. It sounds like you developed the product very quickly. You made the market aware of what you were doing very quickly, whereas sometimes people will take years to get where you're at. How did you create a MVP so quickly and get buy-in from the market?
Oh, wow. Okay. I love California. And the tech that's coming out of California has allowed us to put together a tech stack that was so intimidating. It took me a couple of developers before I could get somebody to commit to this, like the future tech stack to build the product. So we're leveraging a lot of things that most people are not familiar with, but big props to tech stacks from Flutterflow to LangChain to Flowise. These things have really enabled us to build amazing experiences that are hand-holding through the 16 frameworks in the tool that you'll never have to learn. There are 4 which aren't even publicly available because I withheld that PhD. So that PhD has never been published, but we're actually like walking you through it. There are university students in several universities, from Singapore Management University to INSEAD, who are using the product, and they've never learned the frameworks. We had this fun little 1-hour hackathon where you can map your customer journey in an hour and already figure out missing features in your product. But there's just so much in technology today that just really makes really great experiences, and I'm just excited to be using these. So
this was a part of your PhD.
Yeah.
This was you've done your research. You brought together the best resources.
Yeah.
Got a product, and once you had the product, how did you start to make customers aware of this opportunity?
Well, 3 phases. We were testing our own MVP, so we still, until today, after launching in June, we haven't done any paid marketing. Not a cent. And we're only doing events, and we're using viral campaigns. We're just about to start automated, very personalized sales outbound. So imagine the sales, the cold emails that you'll get from AIPath will say, hey, we've analyzed your product and these are missing features on your roadmap. tagged to the most important pains in your particular target customer. Would you like to try the free trial? We're actually going to give you that level of insight and instant experience of like potential benefit.
So you've already analyzed their approach to the market, identified a low-hanging fruit weak point, and said, we'll solve this for you for free.
Yeah.
Then you come back to us.
Yeah. I mean, if you try the free demo, it's a 17-second overview of all the 5 modules in the tool. And you go to AIPath.one/get started. You put in your website address, and we'll help you find potential customers to target. We'll help you find missing features for the ones that you haven't targeted. We will help you prioritize which customer segment is the most interesting to you, and then we'll...
What are oftentimes some missing features when people are targeting their audience? You just said you kind of identify those. Just for our audience to consider that, hey, am I missing this? What are some common missing approaches, strategies, or features that your AI picks up on?
I think the one theme in common is that if you look at a customer's journey according to a 6 Sigma process, which is a way of breaking down like a customer workflow into like 8 very important phases, a lot of startups aren't helping their users get started. And this is beyond the amazing work in product-led growth and onboarding. This is if I'm using an insurance app. I don't know my wife's credit card bill. I don't know my wife's degree of how much she wants to save, spend, invest, and insure. So if that's the case, how am I going to right size whether I want $5,000 in insurance a month or $5,000 a year of insurance? Because we haven't even merged our goals, our information, and then I'm on this, this app, and I'm trying to type in information about me, but I belong to a household.
So let me see if I understand this right, because what you just said is super interesting. There's this point of where where a product is coming to market, or even a service is coming to market, and the founder or whoever's launching this campaign hasn't identified that point of entry for the user. It's almost like taking on the beginner's mind and how they could quickly start using this at an easy level.
I don't know if I'm overcomplicating the explanation, but we're always talking about what's the problem we're trying to solve. And then when you step into your customer's shoes, really like, is your product coming in really early enough in their decision-making process? Or are you coming in the middle? Because the earlier in that process of that customer's workflow and their decision-making that you come in, the more traction, the more likely it is that you will be the first thing that they experience. And if you build a sticky product and you keep doing all the steps of that journey, you will have customer ownership over a longer period. But a lot of people come in the middle, and they're not solving the initial things that cause people to abandon an app or a product or a decision. Do you know that? I can't remember the statistics. It's really high. It must be in the 70s or 80%. Most people just abandon a decision because it's too hard to make. Which new CRM shall we buy? It's such a big and confusing decision to make. Most people just abandon, and they're like, you know what? Let's think about it next year and just use the one that we're using now.
I love that insight, because I think what you're identifying is the empathetic pain point at where a customer can easily access what solution you're providing and get instant application for results. And so I got to ask you, when these customers engage with your company and say, okay, I'll try that first stage, what kind of feedback are you getting from the results of just making this one change?
Well, we're trying to implement a process without you knowing, right? We're trying to make it easy for you to implement a process where we are actually the first to say, don't trust the AI. But in the first 17 minutes of using the full tool, AI goes through multiple templates. It goes through multiple levels of ideation. We collect so much research and insights into your customer journey. We literally then say, don't trust the AI. Here are the experiments to launch. And we create those experiments for you. So the customer is giving you the feedback you need. And that closed loop helps us refine the customer journey map and the pains of a customer in the order, and therefore what features you need to build to address those pains. And then what are the most important pains and the most important features, because you can't build all the features. But what are the most important? That's our hook to the market.
So I got to ask you, I'm going to kind of back away and for our audience, and so that we can kind of collect different views of what go-to-market is. If we can start from the very basic, what is go-to-market based on David Isaac's perspective?
It's a big one. We at AIPath, we really feel that go-to-market covers both product and sales and marketing. So the product marketing that you do, the brand marketing you do, the feedback that you collect as a closed loop. So your go-to-market must feed back into product development, and that's a big gap in the market right now. I've worked with number one banks in the world whose chief marketing officer has never met the head of product. And I look at the guys and I'm like, what are you building and what are you selling and how are you learning from what's not working to drive growth? Because the whole point of go-to-market is to drive growth. Mm-hmm. But do you have the final product that you'll never update or iterate on or develop? I don't think so. I don't think product ever stands still. I don't think your competitors ever stand still. Our competitor analysis module is such a shock to people that when they see that how they're comparing against the competitors in multiple categories, there's so much insight, and then you always have too many ideas, too many great things that you want to build. So how do you prioritize that? We really need to use the experimentation and the journey mapping to collect the customer feedback and turn that into the product roadmap. So that go-to-market actually is the combination of not just blindly selling a product that we never plan on adding a new feature to. It's how marketing is aligned with sales. And that is the best touch point to collect more data from the market, and don't silo that data. Mm-hmm. And don't be like, I attended this amazing event called the AI Summit by HSE. But what was really concerning is that so many leaders in sales felt that they had the obligation to write value propositions from scratch, and they wanted AI tools to write value propositions from scratch. But I'm like, product and engineering have been struggling with what features to prioritize. So the value propositions must be there. So why are there silos in that understanding? So go-to-market to me is that closed loop. Test it, sell it, refine the product. So that go-to-market is both marketing, sales, and insight.
And there's also, it sounds like not only there's this loop that reinforces itself, there's a lot more congruency from one department to another. So if you have someone leading sales, someone leading marketing and engineering product, there's this communication that allows for it can easily be transferred to the customer. And when that happens, now you're listening closer, you're more empathetic, and you're more accurate. Am I understanding it that quickly or that correctly?
I think that's great, and that's why we push for experimentation and we push for that customer research, because it needs to improve your product. Mm-hmm. So every touch with the customer could improve your product. Every campaign could be constructed as A/B testing campaigns and multivariate testing campaigns, so that you really have clarity if A, then B, but if C, then D. If you have that kind of hypothesis-based approach to even your banner ads and your landing pages, you'll learn what the most important customer is, the lowest cost of acquisition, comes from which niche, which first 7 words describing which feature or value proposition is leading to the highest click-through. Then everybody's learning at the same time. You just can't have silos between the people building it and the people selling it.
Do you think the silo effect in early stage early stage startups is one of the biggest killers, aside from money and product market fit? I think is huge. You are solving that with your company, but yet if people don't get out of these silos, do you feel that could be one of the biggest reasons which companies fail?
I think for earlier stage startups, the biggest pain point is not doing that customer journey mapping to guide the product. I think as you mature as a company, I think the silos develop because everybody's got their own, call them KPIs, their own OKRs, and they're operating on a different cadence and timeline. Engineering has a slower timeline. Product marketing has this almost instantaneous, I can respond to something that happens as an event and tie my company to it and get 50,000 views on my video.
So for our audience, again, who is just possibly learning multiple perspectives of GTM and the customer journey, give us kind of that cycle from your perspective of what the customer journey should look like, and then how your company is correcting that with other startups that may not have it down yet. So customer journey definition for our audience, and then kind of integrate what are some high level ways of correcting that so that startups aren't dropping the ball on that customer journey.
Okay, so to the top 10, top 20% PMs out there, I'm probably not talking to you. But for the 80% of the rest of us, it's really challenging to know what we should build first. Do we deepen this feature? Do we expand this feature set? Do we start providing features for earlier in their customer journey? Those are not conversations that we have with any precision, because we have so many dependencies that we're not running, which are the customer journey maps and seeing their pains in order, and then connecting that to your Jira or your Monday.com. And Jira and Monday are amazing product management tools, but we're actually talking about product strategy if you want to drive growth. We're talking about product market fit as a lagging signal that you have managed to get to growth. Product market fit is after all that strategy. And product market fit is complicated because it has breadth. You could have product market fit with multiple customers and use cases. You could have depth where you're so sticky with that one particular segment and they really retain and you can really grow in that segment. But then your competitors do new stuff and therefore your users need new things and they have new baselines for comparison. So it's also a very slippery thing. You can lose product market fit very quickly.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And so in finding product market fit and then executing, where are some of your clients missing the mark? I think I kind of asked that earlier.
Yeah.
But in terms of that customer journey, where are they not understanding how their product engages well with their market?
Yeah. And that brings us back to what the PhD was supposed to solve. It was supposed to connect your strategy with your business model, how you generate revenue, and therefore the customer experience. So as you have different strategy gaps or execution gaps that you want to solve, or if acquisition is going fine but churn is getting bad, right? What are the implications in your product? And so now you've got this whole roadmap in Jira, and you've probably spent a lot of time in conversations and in workshops and in meetings saying we're going to build this and this and this, and that's what this next 2 quarters or whatever look like. But suddenly if churn gets bad, how does your entire engineering pipeline adapt to that?
Oh, that's such a good question. So before we dive into that, back up a little bit. Let's talk about your PhD. What was your thesis? What were you trying to solve for? And then what was the journey? And what did you discover? Clearly you created a company from it. But if you could talk about what were your thesis, what were you looking to solve, and what were some of your insights?
Right. So it's a proposed PhD that I've now withdrawn so that I can build proprietary IP into the product, which is AIPath. And so it was, can we build a unifying methodology that is not a framework where there's just sort of 3 broad things. It's actually prescriptive. So an actual methodology, which means like a 37-point checklist.
And those 3 broad things were what?
Solving strategy, solving how we generate revenue, which is acquisition, engagement, retention, and monetization, that business model, and connecting that to our product strategy down to features.
Okay.
So that methodology doesn't really exist in a way that's codified anywhere. So that's what I think the top 10% PMs, I think that's what they're doing as art and talent and experience and expertise. But how do we turn that into such a process that everybody can do an experiment, can launch something and know whether they need to change their strategy change their execution, change their business model, focus on acquisition, focus on churn, and therefore, what are the implications on the product, sales, and marketing, which is nuts, because now you have three, not nuts, excuse me, but it's really exciting that you now have three lenses of analysis. So you have such a complete way of prioritizing what everybody from product, marketing, sales, and engineering are doing in a way that you can prioritize according to your current business situation. Because very often, maybe churn goes off the rails, but product and engineering aren't really changing what they're doing on their roadmap. So instead of being random, some companies feel very random, like, oh, you know, somebody important says, let's change this, and everybody drops what they're doing. But some companies are also, you know, very process driven, and they're not adapting to their environment, and neither is ideal for really being adaptive to your customers' needs. So how do we bring that customer centricity to product development?
Yeah, so you said random. That word to me is very familiar in startup. I mean, people are creating great ideas. They feel that they're creating a problem. However, getting a feel for what the market responds to. How do you streamline that process? I mean, you take chaos and randomness and all these words that kind of are a part of startup, and you focus on, okay, where specifically do I fit, or this company fits in the customer journey? What's the strategy to taking this product to market? What are some insights in order to streamline that randomness?
Right. So you can have any process you want, but you need to know with clarity what your next step should be. And that is the acid test of whether you're executing and making reliable progress towards growth.
Does your company flush that out as well? So let's get back to that a little bit. So we talked a little bit about your company. We introduced it. We talked about your PhD process. What now is kind of the customer experience with your company? Talk a little bit about, you know, how are people engaging with the due diligence of product market fit, and where do you see this going?
So in our product, we've got 5 modules that we'll simplify into 3 modules pretty soon. But what you'll do is that you'll start up in the product, and we'll help you map your customer journey. And we're not giving you a blank template. We are populating that with qualitative and quantitative research, multiple agents doing a lot of exciting things, even a competitor analysis at the feature level. And that's just your starting point. And then we create the assets for the experiments, for the hypotheses of the important things you need to test to make a decision on which customer is the best for you, which feature is the best for them. Do you have that feature? And then how do we create those assets to launch them? And we do that closed loop. And then in the manage module that comes back into the actual decision making, all the options you have, they're sort of scored against your organization's priority and the strategic value of that. And that score helps you decide for the next couple of weeks, what are we going to do? So every initiative in the whole company gets scored in a way that ties back to business impact and ties to the product and ties to sales and marketing. So as things happen or things change, you can always rescore those things, and everybody from every key team knows what they should be focusing on, and it's fully transparent. So instead of having an engineering stand-up, the manage module for us is a stand-up for the whole company, for all the leaders and all the key teams of product engineering, marketing, and sales.
So what kind of companies are you focusing on? Are you focusing on large enterprise companies, big business, or are you focusing on startups where there's just a handful of founders and who in between?
At the moment, we're targeting startups and agencies, people who are using Jira, they're using HubSpot, they're using Monday.com. They've got a product in the market, they're launching, and they want to drive growth. We have 11 MNCs in healthcare, consulting, hardware technology, and so on and so forth that we have in the pipeline, but we're helping people figure out the next feature to prioritize and how to launch it and how to learn from that. So really, we are probably targeting very software forward companies. They might have hardware as well, but there's software that we are really helping them develop to hone in a better customer experience, a stickier and more scalable customer experience.
I love that. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how specifically a user would gain traction from using your product. So, Brian, take us to break. All right, thanks, Brian, for bringing us back. We're here with David Isaac, and David, we're talking about your startup. It focuses on how to take an early stage company or any particular user, take their product to market. And before we went to break, I was really curious how your particular market, you were telling me during the break that you focus on VCs, early stage companies. Give us a little case study insight on how this could particularly work for anyone who may be listening and the benefits they may get from engaging with your product.
Yeah. So as we help build strategy, we also help evaluate strategy so that you know whether you need to change the target customer or a new feature and so on and so forth. So the module that we just launched last week is the competitor analysis module, which means that if you are, let's say, a CRM tool like Pipedrive, you would be able to analyze all the other CRM tools at the individual feature level in real time, and you'd be able to compare what we call feature parity, like do we have the same features, and feature differentiation. So do we have something that the other guys don't have, or do they have something that we don't have? So that's a very valuable module for both VCs who want to actually look at a product strategy, and for startups, the product managers and the salespeople who are trying to figure out what is our most important, proposition messaging to market.
So let's take an example. So I'm a VC. Mm-hmm. I come to you. I say, hey, I want to utilize your tool. Give me a little insight on how I can use it for my companies.
Sure.
And what's going to be my ROI?
Sure. I mean, if you're a VC, life is getting pretty complicated right now. If you're a small VC, you're getting maybe 100, 200 decks a week or a month already. And now, actually, a founder can build an app in maybe 3 hours with no code and AI tools. And that would have previously probably been funded for 1 to 3 million a year or two ago. So you're going to get this huge volume of startups coming at you now, these pitch decks. And some of them are very interesting in new industries like in crypto or in medical or health tech, doing things that we never thought of before. Right? You're going to see a lot of innovation. Mm-hmm. And so with our tool, that pitch deck will come in, and we'll analyze all the categories that it plays in. Like,
I would, as the VC, I would
the tool, before you actually see the pitch deck, we will tell you what categories they play in.
So your platform would do that for me, because I'm playing
Absolutely.
the VC. Mm-hmm. So your platform would do that for me and then provide me insight on that.
Let me break it down, right? So the pitch comes in, as a startup, you've uploaded your pitch deck. We're analyzing the riskiest hypotheses in your startup. We're analyzing how you compare to the other people in your category. Mm-hmm. And then we're automating questions to you. So we're doing that pre-first round interview on behalf of the VC on the risks, on the missing features, about the competitors, about your startup. You answer those. And then when the VC logs in, he doesn't only see the pitch deck, he sees all the founder fit questions. He sees how the founder feels about the competition. He sees, or they see, how they plan to respond to the competition. Mm-hmm. And then you're already starting to be able to understand a startup, even if it's in a very niche category in crypto or like trade financing or so many different like new niches that are coming up.
Okay. So now the VC, me as the VC, mm-hmm. is almost having this back and forth with mm-hmm. the company that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. We're narrowing down together what is the best next step. Once that is all complete, now me as the VC, what am I doing with this particular tool and giving back to the startup?
There are situations where there are some VCs who are actually very, very hands-on. They actually want to provide value creation and insight and advice for their startups beyond just connecting them to potential customers. Mm-hmm. And for that kind of VC, the managed model that we described instead of having a report, you're having like a real-time view into their Jira, into their product strategy.
When
into
you
their
say Jira, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So when you say Jira, what do you mean by that?
Jira is one of the most popular software project management tools out there. If I'm not mistaken, I think their revenue is already $1 billion.
Oh, okay, so it's part of your stack. Is that what you're saying?
It's a default software development tool that if you're building software, it's very probable you're using Jira.
Got it. Okay, so not being an engineer guy.
And we have a bidirectional sync with Jira.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, so let's flip the script a little bit. I'm going to go from VC to now I'm a startup. The other side that you were explaining. I want to engage with your tool so that I can demonstrate that I'm going to market effectively. What is my journey at that point? I come to you, I say, David, need your help, buddy. Or am I going to the VC? What is kind of that path?
So we are a self-serve, we're SaaS. You use us in your browser. You create your account. We take you through 5 things that you need to think about to drive growth. Okay, there are 5 questions or 5 hypotheses, we call them. And those hypotheses are which customer is going to be the most valuable to us and gets the most value out of our tool. And we will help you find multiple types of customers and we'll help you prioritize and rank them, which is the customer. And then we help you understand what are their most painful pains, what are their greatest needs, and are you already solving them?
Do you need to have a product or is this a service as well?
We work conceptually. So your software, your startup can be software, it can be a hardware product. As long as it has features and benefits and it's something that can evolve, we help you work on that. But if you think of it as a software app, we're helping you think of the different features that you need to build and the different options in the customer experience as you develop the product.
Is this all okay? So I got a ton. I'm jumping all over the place because I got a ton of questions. But go ahead and finish those 5 features that you were talking about. The 5
All right,
questions.
the 5 questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So you gave me the first one.
Yeah.
What's the second one?
So in the search of growth and in the search of product market fit, we need to know who is the most valuable customer to us and who we have the most relevance to. What is the value proposition, or what is the greatest benefit that we provide for this customer, because it's going to be different for each customer. And then what are the features that authentically deliver that benefit? Like, do we really nail that benefit, or do we still have missing things that we have to build to get there? And then on which channel are we going to have the lowest cost of acquisition? Right? Because
so just to kind of differentiate yourself, why wouldn't I just go to OpenAI and punch in the same questions like, okay, my target market is this, my features are this, my give me the easiest path to market. What is kind of differentiating you and just me going to OpenAI and doing the same thing?
So one thing that's really different in using AIPath from using any kind of OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, etc., is that there's almost no chat in our product. You're going to go through pages that take you through a sequence. And so whenever you add a new feature, all the sales and marketing assets will be updated in real time. Anytime you find something that's more important to a niche, that will be elevated in the product strategy, in the sales and the marketing. But if you do it in ChatGPT, if you do it in a chat, in any kind of LLM, you won't have reversibility, you won't have persistence, and you won't have specificity. So you can't just make one change without having to redo all the steps manually. But with our tool, all those steps are laid out like a ladder,
I mean, just to kind of stress test the way that we're understanding this, if I'm specific with my prompt, hey, keep this the same, keep that the same, re-engineer this. Why would everything and why would everything have to change, or why would nothing change? And isn't what's kind of the barrier or the hang up with being conversational?
I'll give you I'll flesh it out. You could have 4 potential interesting customers, and you could have 4 features that you felt were your top 4 features, and you could have 4 different channels to access them. You could have sales, you could have cold outbound, you could have paid marketing, you could have content and blogs, for example. And each of those channels has a different cost to acquire a customer. LinkedIn is, significantly more expensive than advertising on Meta, for example. cold outbound emails, there's a cost of your sales team running that. Events, that's another. And therefore, with different costs, you've got different payback periods in your revenue model. So there are 4 variables: which customer, which value proposition, which channel, and which revenue model, and the payback period. If you just had 4 options just for today, not counting tomorrow, etc., there's 64 combinations already. So if you were using chat, you'd have to have 64 parallel conversations to replicate what we're doing for you, because we're not analyzing the customer journey for one customer. We're analyzing it for all the potential customers that are interesting to you, and then we're helping you rank that. Then we move on, which feature. And then we create the experiments to test that for you. And then we move on to, customizing that for different channels of different experiments. And then the experiments help you come back to the customer journey and say, hey, turns out that this pain is the more interesting thing that's getting people to bite. It's triggering a higher conversion click-through rate.
So, okay, I'm back to I'm the startup. I'm engaging with your platform. I'm typing in the answers to these 4 or 5 questions, and it's giving me instant feedback. Do I need to integrate any of your software or any of your platform into what I'm doing to do analysis, or is it just me manually entering into your platform that's then kicking back to me an assessment?
Yeah, there's really very little typing in our tool. We're really helping you get started in a very rapid way, and we're largely standalone. But the API, the sync between your engineering product management and our tool, that's an important
And when you say
API.
sync, what do you mean? What's being synced?
So if I like this example, right? So maybe you had an amazing event, you got a lot of leads, and the leads are not replying sales. You no longer have an awareness or acquisition problem. You've got an engagement and activation, a churn problem. How is everybody in the team going to change what they're doing and know what options they have to solve churn? And that's what the tool does. It helps you understand the business impact that you need to achieve right now, which is to solve churn. And then what are all the features, what are all the epics in the technology roadmap that will solve that? What can sales do to solve that? What can marketing do to solve that? That gets, elevated in your roadmap.
Now I know that's an example. Actually, you're hitting close to home here. I do an event was your example. That's a service, and I'm identifying there's a lack of engagement. And so you're saying that if I'm plugging into this idea of an event and giving this information, and people just aren't showing up to the next event, or I'm not getting the follow through on sales or whatever, you're kicking back options. You're kicking back more insight on how to address this engagement.
Yeah. So if you want to tag it to events, because a lot of B2B startups, we do events and we do, in different summits, etc. If you wanted to drive growth inside our tool, you would see that for event A, that's a new customer segment that we've never really targeted before. And for event B, it's our target sweet spot.
No,
and the tool would know that your goal is to drive more activation. So it will tell you, don't go to the event with the new customer because you're focused on this existing customer, and you're trying to refine how to click through the conversion of new customers in that segment versus another. So you'd actually even be able to prioritize what those sales and marketing functions would be working on, not just engineering.
So you upload again. I have a product, and one of the most.
The tool's built a digital twin of your startup, and it's built a digital twin of every potential customer segment, and it simulates each customer segment using your product and the relevance to them and the product market fit for them. And then, as I said, we don't trust the AI. We trust experiments and customer feedback and user interviews. So we generate all those things for you. To test, to market, to run in your marketing and your sales, and validate, is this pain important? Is this customer interested? And if yes, then what? And if no, then what? So we're just constantly running that for you.
So again, back to this thing of doing an event. Now, am I an event company, or is one of the motions that
One of the motions, I imagine.
one of the motions that your AI gave feedback that I should be deploying for my startup as a product? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah. So it would help you like examine the different events that you're going to. And then the sales team would say like, we can only do one of these events this month because we're really fully booked. And we have to choose between the event that's targeting a new customer and the event that's the event that is highly attended by a different customer or an existing customer. And we would know. Therefore, are we trying to broaden our targeting? Or are we trying to create immediate revenue because we know it? We can sell to this customer. So we'd be able to score that and prioritize that. So in the manage module, you'd see in the roadmap, one event would rank much more high than another.
So just to kind of recap, what I'm hearing is a perspective from one of the buckets. So one of the buckets is the product itself. It's a tangible product. It's not the service, but you had mentioned earlier that it's aligning with marketing and sales. So you input the information, it kicks out, hey, to marketing, you should be doing events. It will then also give you feedback on the effectiveness of that motion, which was the event.
Yeah.
It'll give you the effectiveness of a newsletter, the effectiveness of, think of another motion.
Paid marketing, sales emails.
Social media. And then the third bucket, which is sales, it will give you feedback on engagement and churn and total revenue. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, you would update it on how effective that initiative was, and then you'd be able to understand, was it, are we really not resonating with this new target segment? Because in your business model, you've got essentially acquisition, engagement and retention, and monetization. So if you're focusing on acquisition right now, you might actually be open to exploring events that are attended by different customers. But if you're really focusing on engagement and retention, then you're more likely to go to events that have the customers that like your product and find your product useful, and you'd spend more time in those kinds of events instead of events that aren't really your events, but they're interesting to you, but not right now.
Now, for a Series A company that's starting to spend a lot of marketing, it sounds like for them, this could potentially be not only effective for their go-to-market strategy, but also for their marketing spend, which could be upwards of 40%. And so, I'm hearing a big potential here for that series and beyond to drive down costs for acquiring customers or even retaining them.
Yeah, and drive more growth, because you're never really 100% clear of all the brilliant ideas that we have, which is the one that's going to help you drive growth. And that's why it's so important that our tool helps connect your strategy, your business model, and your product and all the touch points to sales and marketing and engineering and product. And so everybody knows what the priorities are in much more detail than in OKR. And OKR still doesn't tell you the priority of different initiatives that you have for growth. But in AIPath, the manage module literally puts the roadmap for all the teams on a single roadmap. That's why it's a multi-team stand-up tool.
Yeah. So I'm seeing the big picture now. So does your tool kick out ideas of what engagement, which engagements would be effective, or is it just what the marketing and sales team suggest?
So both will appear. So it's not likely that a company has no ideas and has no roadmap right now, right? So it's very important that we understand that all the things that you are already planning to do, we help you score those based on the three lenses of your strategy, your business model, and how you plan to grow, and the implications on product. And when I say implications on product, I include sales and marketing as touch points in that overall customer experience.
Now, if I'm an early stage company and I have a budget, say I have very small budget of, let's say, for example, $100,000 for the year, and I don't know what I want to do. Could I implement or into the software hypotheticals? Like what could I do with $100,000? Here's my budget. Not sure from this list of things what I should do. Would it kick out suggestions based on my budget, my product, and the market, what I should be doing? Does it give me that kind of guidance?
It will ingest all the ideas you have and help you score them for potential. It will give you messaging priorities. So when you do those events or those initiatives, what's the message? What's the target customer? Is it aligning with your...
So it provides actual copy, like messaging?
We provide actual copy and messaging.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And that
for
saves a lot of
landing
time.
pages, for landing pages, banner ads, which means we don't give you one banner ad. We do like multi A/B tests for you, and we create them for each different customer segment. There'll be different banner ads and different landing pages, different drip email sequences to nurture those customers. Yeah, and they
Wow.
update with every new feature and they update with every new learning.
So there's a lot of functions in this.
We have 6 modules now. In June, when we came here the first time, we only had 3, and a tech review company said that in the world we had the broadest depth and breadth in product strategy and revenue intelligence. So we're not doing product management, we're doing product strategy, and how does it manifest in your go-to-market motions, and how do the go-to-market motions come back and help you refine your product strategy to help you get to growth, to help you get to product market fit.
Well, when you say modules, you have 6 modules. Again, just so I'm maybe not getting lost, what is the difference between having 1 module, 3 modules, and now the addition of a 6th module?
Well, the 6th module is customized to the VC's workflow. But the first 5 modules are for product strategy, experimentation, launching those experiments, analyzing those experiments. So that just takes you through the whole flow. And you go through the 5 modules in 17 minutes.
So is it like its own sandbox where you can essentially do hypotheticals from soup to nuts, from beginning to end?
Yep.
And so you will get an idea what kind of your outcome will be based on the information that you plug in. Am I hearing that correctly?
In the tool, we help you rank. And in the tool, we give you the copy and the things to experiment with. And then the results of those, we help you interpret and re-rank. And therefore, what should we do next now?
Okay.
Do we build that feature, or do we test a feature that we didn't?
Okay. Now I'm starting to get my mind around how robust this really is. Brian, you got something on the tip of your tongue over
Well,
there?
it's a little bit of a gear shift here, so I don't know if you're ready to do that with me, Brian. But David said you were here, I think in May, right?
In June, yeah.
In June, and now you're back.
Yeah.
So we've learned a lot about what you guys do and the product that you offer and or the service that you offer, and it sounds phenomenal. I mean, honestly, my mind is a little shook. Right?
You just blew my mind.
Because of what product you're really offering. But I'm curious, in the evolution of your business, you were here in June, you're here now, and I don't know if it's fair to ask, but what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing here? It took you a lot of energy to come here to Silicon Valley. You're back for a second time. What is your goal in building your business?
We are pursuing San Francisco as one of the centers, the greatest density of startups and innovation and VCs in the world. And we help people with product strategy and launching and growing their companies and helping VCs evaluate those companies. It's different side of the same coin. We're here fundraising. We're here talking to key customers. We're talking to several accelerators and GTM agencies who are becoming a real core of our revenue. And even though we haven't done any paid marketing, already 40% of the 1,000 startups that have experienced our platform, already 40% are from California.
Wow. Okay. So that's clearly a success for you being here. Brian,
we plan on relocating here as soon as we're done with this funding round.
Nice. Did you have a follow-up, Brian?
No, not really. I guess also, though, I'm curious. I mean, you must be using your own technology to build your own business. Is that right? I mean, are you getting that same feedback loop from your business to develop your own business?
That's exactly. We built AIPath and grew AIPath using AIPath. So everything that we find useful, we build as a feature. So now automated sales, outbound email creation, we thought we needed that to grow to, hunt down really interesting startups and tell them, hey, these are potentially missing features. This could be great, ideas for your roadmap. Do you want to try the tool? So we had to build that automated cold outbound, and that will be launching in the product probably by January or February. We're planning on testing it over the next 2 months, for example. Competitor analysis. You can live in a bubble. You can think your product's awesome. But we will literally analyze every competitor that even slightly overlaps with what you're doing to give you a feature level breakdown of whether you've got enough features or you don't, whether you need to zig or whether you need to zag, whether you need to pursue blue ocean, whether you need to pursue red ocean. And we're like, that's such a useful feature. Why don't we build that into a tool? So we spent 1 week last week doing that. And that meant that we could build the VC module. So we spent 1 week building the VC module, and we launched that at Path Ahead last week.
Nice. And so what's next for you guys? I mean, you've done so well in your first year. You're going back to Singapore, but you ultimately want to land here. What's the next 3 to 18 months? That's a big swath, but the next 6 months look like for you guys?
Well, we're very young. Thank you for thinking so highly of us, but we're really young. We've only been live since June. And even in June, we only had 3 of the modules. So we've only had the full 6 modules for 2 weeks. So most of our customers haven't even experienced those modules.
How many modules are you going to?
In terms of modules, we're actually folding them down.
No.
We're actually folding them down. Yeah.
Oh, so you'll be reducing them or compressing them?
You will see fewer modules, but all the functionality will go into the back end, because now that we've built all the flows that product teams need, that marketing and sales teams need, we can move them to the background, and you'll still have human in the loop. It's really important in AI. We call it human in the loop, so you can verify, whether the AI has come out with something that you agree with or not, and rescore that. So we have that experience. And so we have the power tool for like agencies, for accelerators, for VCs, and we're going to have a simplified experience for maybe earlier startups that will be cheaper, easier to use, easier to spin up.
I love it. So 2 questions before we go. How do people connect with you, and how do people connect with your company?
Amazing. Please visit www.AIPath.one/ that's enough actually. If you want to try the instant demo, there's a link on the page to do that. You can get me on LinkedIn. I'm David Isaac Matthews on LinkedIn, Matthews with 1 T. And AIPath is the name to remember if you want to drive product strategy, if you want to get to growth. We're really here to help you without the $500,000 consulting projects I used to do.
I love it. All right. Well, David Isaac.
Badass on the radio.
Yeah. Nice, Marianne. Good to see you. David, thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck to you and your company. Safe travels, and hope to see you back here in San Francisco.
Love California. Love this community that you guys have. Really happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, Brian.
Thank you, Brian and Brian. And Marianne. Rocking soundtrack.